It's already 6:04, and as a tradition, we will start on time, though we mentioned that we start at 6, but these 3 to 4 minutes are required to do the technical settings and also to get our guests settled, as well as all the people who have shown interest to be part of this lovely evening discussion. Now we should proceed. I welcome you all formally. My name is Mohit. Uh, I represent City Book Leaders, and today, as part of the Sirali Book Club, I welcome you all for this very fascinating discussion that we will hold for the next 45 to 60 minutes. I'm very thankful to all of you for being a patron to this book club, and your regular attendance has given us enough confidence that we are on the right track. And there are enough good number of knowledge seekers like you all who believe in the concept of this book club, which we lovingly christened as SERALI, which is an acronym for secular, rational, and liberal. And in a while, Anil sir has a very interesting note for that as well, which we were discussing in the back room a while ago, which I will not disclose. I really don't have the authority to do that as well. Now, how did we arrive to the name of this book club? As Serali has a very interesting trivia to it. While Parthaji, Saminaji, and I, we were actually thinking about how should we name it? What should be the name of this book club? So while doing that discussion, the thought of why not actually represent it on the name of the leader of the club, that's Parthaji. We thought, how can we actually relate to his kind of personality, his virtues, his attributes, his characteristics. And that's how secular, rational, and liberal came out. And the people who know him and people who don't know him, it's important to define him in these three words. An author of three commendable books, which does not flaunt anything about his chair, rather the subjects that only a thinker like him can write, and they are varied subjects from travel to love stories, the novel that he has written altogether. And before meeting him, I had read his books. So I always used to wonder who has written his book. There must be someone who has written his books. It's only later on that I realized, and then over subsequent meetings that we used to to host at our adda that we had in Delhi, we kept on discussing not only about the books, and I became richer with every discussion that we had on books and the in-depth knowledge that he carries about multiple books. He recommends books very oftenly, and on his social media page, on his personal page as well, you will find a book almost every day. So you must be wondering, how is it so that he reads so much and he also shares it with others? And I think that's the secret behind it. In our last two sessions of the club that we had, we have already raised the bar. And today, I must say, the session is none less than awesome, I must say. We have been doing the backroom preparations for it, and I can actually vouch for this session to be a remarkable session, which you will always remember, and you will take back some very interesting and fascinating learnings from the world of fiction, non-fiction, and many other such genres. Musings from Masuri Academy. Today's session is all about the books by IS officers from this academy. And that too with none other than one of the most revered officers with us, Shri Anil Swaroopji. I will now request Parthaji to take this session with Anil sir.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you for your kind words, undeserved, of course. I welcome all of my friends who have taken time off to join this conversation today about books. This Serali Book Club is, as Mohit said, dedicated to books, ideas, and thoughts and conversations around them. Today, we are going to speak about books written by IS officers. I must clarify before I welcome Mr. Anil Swaroopji that these books do not mean that these are the best books that have been written by IS officers. These books do not mean that these are the best, that we claim that these are the best books. These are the books that we were aware of and we picked because of our liking for these books. Also, I could not take ICS books written by ICS officers, although there have been some remarkable book written by ICS officers. Philip Mason's The Men Who Ruled India would be a remarkable book in any discussion. B.K. Nehru's Nice Guys Finished Second, I would have loved to include. Similarly, we could not include books written by officers of other services who also had Masuri Academy as the alma mater. I would have loved to take Vikas Swaroop's Q&A, which was made into later into Slumdog Millionaire. I would have loved to take Vibhuti Narayan Rai's Darul Shafa. I think a remarkable book written at any time. But just because of time pressure and brevity, we had to restrict ourselves to books written by IAS officers only. We will discuss books of all times, memoirs, non-fictions and fiction. And as we go along, we will take up chats and conversations and questions. I would request anybody who has any question to kindly type the questions in the Q&A. I will also request anybody who has a comment to type it on chat. I also would share that we have some co-panelists with whom we will keep on conversing with. Ravindra Kumarji, Raghav Chandraji. We are very thankful that Raghav Chandraji could join despite his busy schedule. But first of all, let me now welcome formally Anil Swarupji, our chief conversationalist of today's evening. And let me take the pleasure of introducing him, although most of you would know him. Anil Swarupji was a civil servant, eminent civil servant, an IAS officer of UP cadre who joined the service in 1981, one of the few officers whom we used to look up to when we joined the service. He had some distinguished postings and did some distinguished work in these distinguished postings as DM Lakhimpur Kheri in Director Information in CM Secretariat. In Government of India, he was instrumental in starting from the scratch almost the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. He was in the Cabinet Secretariat and Project Management Group, and he went on to become Coal Secretary and Secretary School Education and Literacy. After retirement, I think he has become more busy. He is a speaker, trainer, motivator, and an author. He has written 2 books already in barely 2 years, Not Just a Civil Servant and Ethics and Governance. He also has now his latest endeavor started in foundation called Nexus for Good Foundation, which aims at identifying, understanding, replicating, and appreciating the good works done in any field. The more you want to know about this, and this is something really important to counter the narrative of negativity that we have all built around us, we can go to the portal, nexusforgood.org.in, and it will be very interesting. I've attended many of his sessions, and I can personally say that this is something which I really look forward to. Welcome, Anil Swarupji. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Partha. Thank you.
I will now start with the first question, or the first thing that so you do so many things, but you started writing only after retirement. And in 2 years, you have written 2 remarkable books. I've read both of these books and we'll discuss about them. What prompted you to take up the pen after retirement, and why didn't you write anything while in service?
The first book was written largely when I was in service. But a lot of, first of all, thank you very much for those very kind words. The first book I wrote while I was in service, but I didn't publish it because I wanted to continue to be in service. Some of what I have written, I would have been certainly thrown out. So I stayed back for a while. I thought I'll publish it post-retirement. And that is why it didn't take me very long post-retirement to publish that book. And the idea came actually from a very senior civil servant who I had worked with, who gave me the suggestion that whatever experience that you have, why don't you pen it down? So I had this habit of writing a page every day of my daily diary. And that really helped me, ultimately think in terms of writing a book. The second reason why I wrote the first book was when I was doing Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. In fact, my original idea was to write a book on Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, the health insurance scheme, because that was an amazing experience in terms of how to make things happen in the government and why things don't happen in the government. So, but thereafter I occupied positions like Coal Secretary. I just couldn't miss it out because the experience in coal sector was absolutely amazing. I couldn't have asked for more. Probably the biggest challenge of my life. Anything that could have gone wrong had gone wrong with that sector. And I remember when I was posted as Coal Secretary, I didn't know much about the sector. So I rang up a friend of mine and asked him, "Yaar, sector kaisa hai?" He said, "Gangs of Wasseypur dekhiye kya?" So all this, prompted me to think in terms of unravel some of the mysteries of administration. So that was the first book, the cause of the first book. The second book had a different reason altogether. I have this occasion of visiting the academy quite often, and I interact with officers of all seniorities, right from foundation course to phase 5. And I was aghast to see the amount of cynicism that gets into officers as they become senior. I mean, that's the usual trend. There are exceptions. But you see so much enthusiasm in officers who join the service, and that gets dissipated over a period of time. And I interacted with them very intensely, and I discovered that a lot of officers were blaming the surroundings, including the politician, for their non-performance, as it were. And that prompted to write Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant. The idea was to demonstrate to such officers that there are indeed a large number of officers who are doing brilliant work despite these problems. So the problem is not with the environment, the problem is the officers themselves. They have to turn their face towards such people who have actually performed on the ground, honest and efficient. So it's a question of where you're looking at. You have all types. And that's why, you know, my book starts, that dilemma starts with मुख्तसर सी जिंदगी के अजब से अफसाने हैं, या तीर भी चलाने हैं, परिंदे भी बचाने हैं. But it concludes with another couplet which says, खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से कुछ पूछे, बता तेरी रजा क्या है. So ultimate bottom line is the officer himself, and that's what I want to demonstrate through Ethical Dilemmas of the Civil Servant.
So your first book, as you said, was almost like a memoir, or almost like an autobiography, not just a civil servant. Many of the IAS officers have written memoirs or autobiographies. In fact, a large proportion of the books written by IAS officers are memoirs and autobiographies. Some are interesting. Some, as somebody cheekily said, are full of those things that they should have done, but they didn't. But I have run through a list of memoirs and autobiographies, and I'd like to share some of these books with our viewers today. So Mohit, can we have that first list of memoirs? So non-fiction of IAS officers, we have further divided into, first part is the memoirs or almost autobiographies. This one is a very remarkable book, sir, because most of the time people write about themselves. Here is one IAS officer writing about another IAS officer. And I think it's unparalleled in that sense. It is a book written on Ravi Mohan Sethi's life, an uncivil servant, written by Ashok Lavasa, another IAS officer, who was incidentally his probationer in Masoor Academy when Ravi Mohan Sethi was deputy director. I've thoroughly enjoyed this book, mostly because this book does not deal with Ravi Mohan Sethi's civil servant days. It actually deals with his growing up days in Allahabad as the son of a family who are refugees from Pakistan, West Punjab, and have settled down in Allahabad and trying to struggle and make a living. And I really enjoyed this book. And Ashok Lavasa ji, I think, took a lot of pains and trouble to write about somebody else's life, which is something remarkable. The next book, Mohit. This was a remarkable book. I think many people will vouch for this, people who have read this. A Tale Told by an Idiot by R.P. Noronha, that legendary officer of MP cadre. And I really enjoyed this book. The first thing I remember, he recounts that he goes to the interview of the civil servant for the joining the service, and he is asked, Mr. Noronha, as a person who is wanting to join the services, apart from your compensation salary, what else is your compensation do you expect? And Mr. Noronha answers that, is there anything else? So it is a remarkably tongue-in-cheek as well as a very frank memoir. I think one should read this. Next, Mohit. I do not claim that I have read all of them, but many of them I have read. This is two books. Although he has written other books also. P.C. Alexander, the person who went up to become governor and principal secretary to the prime minister. I've read one of the book, Through the Corridors of Power. I have not read the other book, My Years with Indira Gandhi. Through the Corridors of Power gives you an insight into what happens in high echelons of power. But probably he could have written a bit less about why he didn't become president. Next, please, Mohit. This is a book written by Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam, the late Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam, who was Chief Secretary and Cabinet Secretary both. Journeys through Babudam and Netaland, and it's some credit or discredit for using the word Babu for civil servants probably should go to Mr. T.S.R. He also has written a book called Mintland, but this one was the one I read. The next book is Mr. Vinod Rai, the ex-CAG, The Diary of Not Just an Accountant. Honestly, I have not read this book. I started this book, but The Diary of the Nation's Conscience Keeper seemed to a bit over the top. Next, please. This one is from our own Anil Swarupji, Not Just a Civil Servant, and we'll come to this later. Next, please. Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh has written multiple books, but this one was his memoir or autobiography. He worked in Doordarshan as the Director General, and he has been very active after retirement also. The Service of the State, the IAS Reconsidered. I have not read this book, honestly speaking, so I do not have much to say about this book, but I think I know Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh. I have met him a couple of times, and I think it will be an interesting book knowing his personality. Next, please, Mohit. Next, please. Mohit, next. Mr. Jagdish,
I think
because
there's some time lag, I guess, between your screen and my screen, but it is there now. Yeah.
Mr. Jagdish Khattar was a remarkable IAS officer, is a remarkable IAS officer because he left the service in between, switched careers successfully, and worked as a CEO of Maruti for very long. After retirement from Maruti, he also started his own company. This is a memoir which was published, I think, a year ago. Driven, the memoirs of a civil servant turned entrepreneur. The name says it all. I have known Mr. Jagdish Khattar a couple of times, but I have not had the opportunity to read this book yet. But many people might find it very interesting because his was a remarkable career. Next, please. Next, please, Mohit. Friends, if you want to ask any question, you can put it in the Q&A section. And if you have to ask some chat, you can put it in the chat section. We will be very happy to respond to you. So out of this list of books, again, as I pointed out, this is not something that we claim that these are the best 10 memoirs or something. My own favorites are Ravi, which is there in the list, but I could not show in the slideshow. And that is probably the favorite memoir written by any IAS officer. It's called The Tiger Ladies. It is written by Sudha Kaul. Sudha Kaul was an IAS officer of UP cadres who worked in UP only for a couple of years. And it is a memoir on her growing up days in Kashmir. She left the service very early, emigrated to USA. And it's by chance that I could read this book. It's a remarkable story of the Kashmir of 1960s and 1950s. And I think of all this, by sheer quality of language, probably this is the best book I have seen. This is another memoir, a cabinet secretary looks back. Mr. B.G. Deshmukh wrote it quite some time ago. I have, again, not read this book, but if you see, most of these books are written by people who supposedly worked in very high positions in echelons of power. Mr. Deshmukh's book, Mr. P.C. Alexander's book, Mr. Vinod Rai's book. But my favorite are two in that way remarkable books. The book on Mr. Ravi Mohan Sethi, written by Ashok Lavasa, and the book written by Sudha Kaul, The Tiger Ladies. And I will definitely recommend these two books to be read for anybody who's interested in reading a good autobiography, not necessarily of an IAS officer. This is a book called The Craft of Politics, Power of Patronage, Ravindra Mathur, who retired as Chief Secretary, UP. This book was published last year. I have not been able to read that book yet, but these two are definitely my favorite, An Uncivil Servant and The Tiger Ladies, The Memoir of Kashmir by Sudha Kaul. Incidentally, the second book is out of print right now. If you look into this list, you can see that there are two books whose names are very similar and kind of reacting to each other, not just a civil servant and not just an accountant. These two are written by two persons who have written about the same sector. So it doesn't, it seems to me that it's just not coincidence that not just a civil servant and not just an accountant are two names of books written by Mr. Vinod Rai and Mr. Anil Swarup. So I would just like you to confirm whether it is just a coincidence, and how do you juxtapose these two books, because these two books have taken a very different and almost an opposing view of a set of events that happened in the coal ministry in around 7 years, 8 years ago.
You know, it was, I wouldn't say it was accidental for me to take that title. If you would recall, I had originally thought in terms of giving my book the title Uncivil Servant, and it was you who pointed it out to me on the Facebook that this topic is already there, already used. And when I was scouting for a title, which I had originally thought should be the title, I went back to that. And the reason was very simple. I had just come out of the coal sector, so to say, from the dark dungeons of coal mines. And I was so amazed at what had been written by Mr. Rai. His book was not just an accountant, whereas, I'm sorry for using this phrase, he actually wrote just like an accountant. So I wanted to correct the narrative, because what I had seen in the coal sector, and I was very hit that no officer was willing to commit himself on the file. And this was as a consequence of what Mr. Rai had done. So I had to answer those questions, some of those that he had raised. And in my book, there are a number of chapters where I pick on the specific mentions made in his book. In fact, I quoted his book to prove him wrong. So that was one of my objectives in that book, to correct what he had said, because it had created such an environment, such a vitiated environment, that civil servants were not taking a call on the issues that were coming to them. Of course, another reason was that I want to also convey this message that it is possible for a civil servant to be beyond civil servant, to look at the larger perspective, to look at the larger picture, to look at the human aspect of it, because normally as civil servants are perceived is very different. And that is why I wanted to call the book Not Just a Civil Servant. Specifically speaking, the calculations that were done by Mr. Rai and endorsed by the Chief Supreme Court. So anything speaking against them could have been a contempt of court, but I took that risk. I took those calculations and proved those calculations down. Fortunately, no one has come back to me, no one, on any of the explanations that I have provided or any of the contradictions that I have given in what has been written, Not Just and Counted. So it was some sort of a riposte to what Mr. Rai had written, but my book is much more than that. There are a few, because maybe in the last 2 assignments that I had, I was very hit by what was. I mean, it was like as I walked into the room of the Secretary Coal, I thought I was walking into a graveyard. CBI after files, CBI after offers. You know, what had hit? I mean, it's like a tempest coming there and dissolving everything. So that remained in my mind as I penned down the book. I wrote about it around that time only. Of course, it got published later, so it gets reflected in that book. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Welcome in the panel. Mr. Raghav Chandra has already joined. Mr. Ravindra Kumar has joined. Shubha Sharma has joined. We will come to them. I deliberately want to keep the memoir part a little bit less of this session, because many IAS officers have written memoir. Let us go to the next session, which is the session on non-fiction, but which is not memoir. So many IAS officers have written on issues and topics, their comments on specific topic or some specific experience. And some of them are really worth reading. So non-fiction, which are not memoirs, some of them are really, really interesting. This was written by Dr. Naresh Chandra Saxena. I don't know why he does not use the doctor in front of his name, but What Ails the IAS and Why It Fails to Deliver. This was published last year, I think. He was the director of the National Academy for long years, and he was also director when I was a probationer. We'll come back to this book in detail because there are many things about this which needs discussion. Mr. Anil Swarup's book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant, he took it from, I think, from where he left in the first book. And he is the best person to write and speak about this book. Next is Balwinder Kumarji. I wish he was in the panel. I don't know whether I could, can I see him as an attendee? I would love to have him in panel. Mr. Balwinder Kumar ji has written a very different kind of books. Books about spiritualism in its wider sense, books about mind, books about life, and he has become a virtual life coach through his books. I have just picked one of his books, Awakening the Thinking Mind, An Inward Journey, which is in my bookshelf. But he has written multiple books on these and similar topics, and has got nothing to do with his life as a civil servant, as far as I can see. And he's also a very good friend of Mr. Anil Swarup, as I know. Ravindra Kumar, he's also in the panel, and we'll invite him to speak. His book is remarkable because it is about a remarkable inspired journey of his. Mr. Ravindra Kumar probably would be the first IAS officer, and in my opinion, the only IAS officer till now who has summited the Mount Everest. That is no mean joke. And this book is about his inspiring journey of scaling Mount Everest. So we will ask Ravindra to speak about this. Next, please. This is, again, Harsh Mander requires no introduction. One may have opinions about him, but he does not require any introduction. Mr. Harsh Mander has written a number of books. I have just picked one book, Looking Away, Inequality, Prejudice and Indifference in New India, which was published a couple of years ago. I have the privilege of knowing him, and he was also our deputy director in the academy when Mr. N.C. Saxena was the director. Next, please. This is a remarkable book, because this book has got, again, nothing to do with civil servant or life in public space, but the authors, Rita Sharma and Vijay Sharma, who are a couple senior officers, wrote this Forts of Bundelkhand, probably because of their love of not only Bundelkhand, but because of their posting in Jhansi. Their love of Bundelkhand is so much that they have named their daughter as Betwa so many years ago. But this book is remarkable. This is a fantastic book about the forts of Bundelkhand, done with very great amount of research, very good photographs, and great script. Next, please. This is a very famous book, Mr. Cause, Bureaucracy Gets Crazier, IAS Unmasked, a very humorous, tongue-in-cheek account of bureaucracy, especially the IAS. He has written another book later, but I have not read the second one. This is a very, very funny book, and I would recommend anybody to read this book, but do not take it all so seriously. Next, please. Mr. Ajay Singh Yadav left the service, and then he wrote this book, Why I'm Not a Civil Servant. A very different kind of book, but worth reading. He does inspire some questions in our mind. This is a book which I finished today morning. A delightful book, A to Z of Civil Services by Dr. Kush Verma. He has a remarkable sense of humor. And each chapter is actually based on one alphabet of English. So A is for academy, for example, C is for camping, Z is for zoo, and so on. And each chapter is around 1,000 to 1,200 words. So you can pick the book anytime and leave the book anytime. Remarkably funny sense of humor. Anybody who knows either of the two twins, Love Verma and Kush Verma, would vouch for their sense of humor and a gentlemanly conduct throughout their services. Next, please. Mr. J.S. Mishra, Art of Life, Timeless Wisdom from the Gita. I have not read the book, honestly speaking, but this is another book. Mr. J.S. Mishra has written multiple books in Hindi, and this is the one book that I could find in English. I think, Mohit, after this was the last, and probably we come to, there's one book else more. This is my book. I do not want to say anything about my book. Every Mile a Memory is a collection of travel pieces, both in India as well as abroad. I was just lucky to get an opportunity to travel around and pen some of the pieces. Every Mile a Memory. My favorites, What Ails the IAS and Why It Fails to Deliver, Ethics of Governance by Anil Swarup, and my book is a prejudiced choice. So, sir, I would, before I call Ravindra to speak, I would like to ask sir about his choice of the best or the most remarkable book, apart from yours and mine, in that entire list. Which is one book that you will say provoked much thought in you and your views on that?
No, as I think Master of Ceremonies, you have a choice to limit my choice. But if I were to pick up, I have recently read two books and I'd like to mention them even at the cost of embarrassing you. I had left love stories long ago. Of course, I'm too old now to get into love stories. The last that I read was Eric Segal's books, the two of them, remarkable books. And then I picked up the two written by you recently, Love Side by Side and Lucknow, what is it? Lucknow Diaries. Yeah. And, you know, I was amazed. I felt young as I read the book because of the flair with which you write, because of the fluidity, because of the characters who become alive. And it's not totally disconnected, I must confess. It's so realistic, you know, as you read them, the characters grow on you. And I felt young as I read the book. So I loved those books. And hence I would like to mention those two books as my favorite books. I know it would embarrass you. You picked up a third one, which I have not read. Maybe that is better than the ones that I read, for the simple reason of the manner in which you go about describing the chaos of Kolkata and Delhi in one of your books, and the serenity of a village there, and how that love that happens close to the village is not a visible love. It just grows on the person and as the book grows on you. So I must confess that I like those books. People who still may not be young, but who want to feel young, I would suggest to them, they must read these two books, Love Side by Side. It's very, very refreshing from the other books that you mentioned. You know, they're very heavy ones, most of them. I read quite a few of the lists that you've given. I must mention the book by Mr. Naresh Saxena. I love that book. He writes so fluently and so well. The only thing that I disagreed was that the message through the book was a negative one. It could have been a positive message from a person who's been a director in the academy. I mean, you can't have a director in the academy speaking in the ultimate sense. You can actually define negativity, you can see negativity, but the ultimate message had to be positive. And that's what I thought he could have possibly given a positive tilt, because if he doesn't give hope, then who will give hope? And secondly, I think he's picked up examples in his book of officers who've either fought, either left, or either failed. I mean, there are so many officers who are honest, efficient, and succeeded. So how about mentioning them? So in fact, in my conversations also, I told him, why not pick such officers? And there are large number of officers who've done brilliantly, who are honest. Look at Mr. Yogendaran. He comes from Akada. I mean, an officer which we all look up to. I mean, you may not have seen much of him, but I saw a lot of him. So there are many such officers who were brilliant and who could have been quoted there. But you have there officers who tried to do well and failed, officers who, you know, fought with the system and then quit. So you can't have those officers. So I like that book. I read that book, you know, went into the details of it. But I thought that is how it could have been presented. Anyway, that's his choice.
I also read the book, sir, and I did find that Dr. Saxena has mentioned and almost picked up at you on a number of occasions in that book. My views on that book was that probably the title is not exactly representative of the book. The book is more of an agenda of governance reform. And the title is a bit provocative about how IS has failed and how it has failed to deliver, whereas the book is more about what should be done to reform the governance as a whole.
No, Partha, I have a different. We can all become Rai Sahabs. You know, it's very easy, especially after retirement. I can keep telling everybody. But until you give examples of people who made it happen, it will not carry conviction. So, because we've had that experience of why things don't happen, so a person who's been through the journey should be able to pick up such examples which could be replicated in scale. Since you mentioned about Nexus of Good, I'm mentioning that. That's what it should be for an officer who's been through those so many years, should be able to demonstrate to people that what you're talking is not merely theory, it's not merely Rai. It can happen because it has happened. Maybe the scale is small, it could be increased.
So we have Mr. Ravindra Kumar. Ravindra, I think he's connected as a panelist. Ravindra's book on Mount Everest was in our list, and I would definitely recommend this book to everyone. Ravindra, are you still connected? Mohit, can you check?
Yes, he's there. He's coming in a while. We're just getting his camera and mic open.
I think he can turn on his video now. Sir, if you can turn on your video.
So good evening, sirs and friends. First of all, I'm very much thankful to Partha sir who gave me a chance to speak in front of you. Anil Swarup sir, I had met in Delhi few years back when he was secretary, and at that time meeting him was quite a difficult job. Today we are face to face. So name of my book is Many Everests, an inspiring journey of transforming dreams into reality. I'll straightway go to the topic without wasting time. Many Everests, as simple it is not only about the physical Everest, Mount Everest, but all kind of challenges in life. Now, an inspiring journey of transforming dreams into reality, just because as an IAS officer, mostly we are limited to pen work. And before joining this service, I had served in shipping in Merchant Navy in a foreign company, Italian company for 7-8 years. So mostly I was limited to pen work. And then suddenly after getting Sikkim as cadre, I decided to climb Mount Everest. So first, yes, I had doubt whether I can climb or not. This is normal human dilemma. But then what I have used and mentioned in this book, it is not only a story about a civil servant. It is about your mental challenge, and that I have shown by means of advanced positive visualization. It is basically a refined form of power of thinking. Now, what is the difference between thinking and positive visualization? Without taking much time, thinking is like you are hearing, you are thinking is without bringing some image in the mind. Whenever you are thinking, some image on the screen of mind comes. That I have used term visualization. Visualize means whatever you are thinking about, the image of that particular thing or event of the past or future comes on the screen of mind. Now, how does it affect you? I have demonstrated by Einstein theory of relativity, the energy thinking gets converted into reality. That is outcome. Your dreams gets real in your future life. Another is Harvard Medical School piano experiment. This experiment was done in 2003. I have written a few paras about that. Another, I have taken help of yoga and research on that. So this is all about what is interesting part is from a person who is around 85 kg and you are coming down to 70 kg and then taking up this dream which none of your seniors have done. Especially in the environment when you are taking up government job also in the morning and evening, you are saving some time for exercise and trekking and all that. Leave is also another challenge. So other than this book, I have also written a few books which was not mentioned. I'd like to bring it to your notice. One is Hindi version of same Many Everests. This is Everest in Hindi. Another more interesting is coffee table book. Now, why I'm talking about more interesting, where something is written, you imagine that this might be happening. But actually, when you see the photographs of that, these are like in this book, Mount Everest, coffee table book. It is not yet published, but very interesting, sir. Some of the rare photographs taken above 8,000 meters, where it is difficult to carry your own body and you are taking out camera in -38 and taking photographs. That is, well, I like it. It is not only my photographs, some of the photographs contributed my friends also. I have honestly acknowledged them. Other than this, I have written few poems, sir, when I was in class 10. So that was published recently. It is not yet come in the market. This is Antrik, Antriksh and Swapn Yatra. So I don't want to boast about my book, but if you permit me, I'd like to quote a comment by one of the famous poet, Ashok Ghosh ji. He has written a para and sent it to me. In kavitaon mein samaj mein vyapt कुरीतियों, this is in Hindi, this poem book is in Hindi. इन कविताओं में समाज में व्याप्त कुरीतियों और विसंगतियों का अभूतपूर्व चित्रण हुआ है. Now, paragraph is lengthy. I'll read few more lines. आपकी इन कविताओं में मनुष्य द्वारा प्राचीन जीवन मनोविज्ञान की सार्थकता को नकार कर एकदम आधुनिक जीवन मनोविज्ञान ग्रहण करने के बाद उसके मन में जो द्वंद्व उत्पन्न हुआ है, उस वस्तु स्थिति का प्रभावशाली चित्रण देखने को मिलता है. Actually, I'm more kind of introvert person. So when I was at 15 years of age and I was in class 10, after writing my 10th examination, I have written around 150 poems. Now I'm going to publish it in 4 books. First one is this, 3 more in the line. So thank you very much, Partha sir, for giving me a chance without taking much time. I'm once again thankful to you.
Thank you, Ravinder. Ravinder, apart from his busy schedule, has been able to write books is a very credible thing. I myself did a mountaineering expedition much earlier and for Bandar Pooch, and I can probably try to guess what kind of feelings Ravinder would have. Now, in the third section, which in my opinion is the most favorite section, is the fiction written by IAS officers. Now, here again, I must say that I have been able to only limit myself to fiction written in English or Hindi, or I have not been able to include remarkable fiction written in regional languages. I know in Odia, for example, great fiction has been written by IAS officers, but I do not know Odia. I have not been able to read them. But there's some remarkable fiction written by IAS officers. And the first one is someone and a writer whose books I think every IAS officer should read. And I think every IAS officer who is going to the field should read this, Raag Darbari by Shrilal Shukla. I think generations of us have graduated through this book, Raag Darbari of Shrilal Shukla. He has written a number of books, Makan, Vishrampur Ka Sant. Many people know Shrilal Shukla and Raag Darbari, but not many people know that he was actually an IAS officer. He was promoted to IAS in the UP cadre, and he did many postings, including Director Information, which a posting which also Anil Swarupji did much later. Next one. This is another famous writer, and he evokes very strong reactions. Upmanyu Chatterjee, 1983 batch of the IAS, has written many books and is known more as an author rather than as a civil servant. English August won the Sahitya Academy Award, and English August is a book which I would recommend. It is a very different take. And probably, in my opinion, this is the book, the book. The Last Burden and the Memories of the Welfare State actually pale in comparison to the first book, probably because the first book was more authentic and was based on his own life as a probationer, maybe. This is a remarkable book. Anita Agnihotri ji, I think she's 1980 or 81 batch, around your batch.
She was 80 batch, 1980 batch.
I never had the pleasure of meeting her. She is from Odisha cadre, and she wrote this remarkable book. The right one I will translate because you would not be able to read. It's Mahanadi by Anita Agnihotri. It is a novel based in which Mahanadi, the river, is the main character. And the left one in Bangla is called Jara Bhalobeshe Chilo. In English, it is translation, Those Who Had Known Love. Anita Agnihotri's book. This is based on Mussoorie Academy. And if you really say, the book which really justifies musings from the Mussoorie Academy in terms of fiction is probably this one, Those Who Had Known Love, Anita Agnihotri. This is set in those 1980, 81, 82, 83, and it's pegged around some of the incidents which we know are real life incidents, but it is a novel nevertheless. Leena Nandan ma'am, she was supposed to join today, but because of certain last moment exigencies, she could not. She has written multiple books, but this one is her latest published book, 10 Days, Obsession, Revenge and Murder Most Foul. I have not been able to read this. I have read her earlier books, and she basically writes books which are thrillers and not necessarily connected to civil service. But I have not read this book, but I can assure you that she has a remarkable pen and it will be interesting. Next, please. This is the book that I have read latest about the fiction written by IAS officers, Raghav Chandraji's Kali's Daughter, and we'll come to this book. He has written two books, Scent of a Game and Kali's Daughter. In fact, Raghav Chandraji is there in the panel. So we will come to this book again. And because I, Anil Swarupji and Raghav Chandraji both can talk about this book, we have all read this book. This is the latest book which has come out to the market, a fiction written by an IAS officer, Shubha Sharma. She was in the panel. I don't know whether she's still connected. We'll just check out. This book has just been published 7 days ago. And I've just got the copy of the book. I've not yet read it, but this is, from the look of it, it looks like a spread out family story. Nothing to do with civil service. A family of Avasthis, their children, their grandchildren. And it is one of those books which is modeled on those classic Russian novels with multiple characters all intermingling with each other. Got nothing with civil service. Next, please. There are a couple of books that Anil Swarupji has already spoken about. I do not want to say much. Love Side by Side and Lucknow Diaries of Love and Longing and novels. Love novels, but I guess a bit more than love. Not too much of civil service in this, but I love those books. Next, please. Next, Mohit. So I have included some Hindi books also because I read Hindi, many people read Hindi. Priyadarshi Thakur actually this book is very nice. He is a retired IAS officer of 1970 batch, Rani Roopmati Ki Atmakatha. This is a remarkable book in which there's an imaginary Rani Roopmati who is talking about her story. This Rani Roopmati, for people who do not know, was the queen of Baj Bahadur in Mandu. And this novel is therefore set in 14th century. And Rani Roopmati is actually, an imaginary Rani Roopmati is telling her story. It's a very, very remarkable book. Incidentally, Mr. Thakur has just, his next book is on the anvil. It is, again, a very remarkable book. It seems like it's called the Sri Griya's Paw. It is based on the Sri Lankan holy rock and set in 5th century AD. So this requires a real creative leap to set a story in 14th century Mandu or in 5th century Sri Lanka. Next, please. Raju Sharma, his Halafname is a book which has been sitting on my shelf for some time. I really cannot say that I have known this book, I have read this book, but I think it is a labor of love, and I think I will enjoy this book. Next, please. I have missed out on many books, I am sure. There's Hari Om has written Titliyon Ka Shor and America Meri Jaan, remarkable books. I've greatly enjoyed America Meri Jaan. But my favorites on this list is Shrilal Shukla's books, any of them, but especially Rag Darbari, and Anita Agnihotri's book, Those Who Had Known Love. So what, of all these books and of any other book, you have already embarrassed me by saying about my book, but apart from that, which is your favorite of the books that you have read of this list?
For me, I think Raghav writes so brilliantly. I enjoyed both his books. First book, I couldn't relate to it, but I loved that book. He writes like a professional author. You know, when I write, you know, I'm not a fluent author, or I can write in that manner. Most of the books that I've read of IAS officers, here is a person who's truly, I mean, he could have chosen this as his profession. And when I read his first book, I was because initially I thought, why should I read this book? What about Tiger and things like that? But what is even more remarkable is his second book. And he touches upon a very, very sensitive subject, And the manner in which he handles it is absolutely brilliant. What I also liked was his sense of humor. You know, he uses phrase like when he is quoting, I think, a bearer in the academy, and he, instead of marriage anniversary, he say wedding unnecessary. You know, it's amazing sense of humor, and he recalls those events. Not only that, when he describes mother of a person, and he uses a particular phrase, I had noted it down. I mean, pompous actress past her expiry date. What brilliant presentation! You know how. I mean, I wish I had that articulation. Tremendous articulation of a brilliant idea that he was working on. Both books, ideas are tremendous. Second book, much more sensitive. I could relate to it much more. When you talk about musings at the academy, this is about musings in the academy. This is actually what happened in the academy. Most of the book is about that, and built on what the chief protagonist faced at the academy and how she evolves as an officer, as an individual himself, is absolutely brilliant. So I have to pick up one book. I'll pick up Kali's Daughter. I've already spoken about your books earlier, so I want to read about it.
So I also have read Kali's Daughter a few days ago, sir. And of these, all the books, the book which really exemplifies Mussoorie Academy is probably Anita Agnihotri's book and Raghav Chandraji's book. For people who have not yet read this book, I do not want to break the story totally, but it is set in Mussoorie Academy about certain probationers in the foundation course of 2010. And then it moves forward to their lives. Some of them are foreign servants, some of them are IAS officers. And as Anilji said, it is more than simple love story based in Mussoorie Academy. It touches out certain core values, certain core issues which India still grapples with. But I'm very happy, sir, that Raghav Chandraji himself is there in the panel and he has taken time off, and it is a great pleasure to welcome him. I have not read his first book, but I've read his second book, and I'm really floored about with the book has come out. So Raghav Chandraji, welcome to the panel, sir.
Thanks. Thanks.
Sir, I would like you to now speak about your book first. And also, if you would like to speak about any other book in the list, but I would first like you to speak about Kali's Daughter.
Very much, Anil Swarup Saab and Partha ji. This has been a unique opportunity to listen and to hear about such good work that has been done by fellow civil servants. I'm afraid I'm not much of a reader myself. I'm not much of a writer also in that sense. Most of my writing has been purely driven by the situation that I have been placed in. And let me recount about Center for Game, sir, which you very kindly mentioned. So this was in 2006 to 2008 that I was posted in Bhopal as one of the managing directors of the Industrial Development Corporation. I had multiple charges, and it was a very, very hectic assignment where I was working from morning till night. And one of the things that I saw in that period, 2006 to 2008, was the number of deaths of tigers. I used to briefly go and play badminton in the morning, and when I would come back on my table, I would have the newspapers, and every day there was a tiger dead in some part of the country. And if you recall that that was the time when Mr. Manmohan Singh, as the Prime Minister, ordered a CBI inquiry. Very unusual for a CBI inquiry into disappearance of tigers from the Panna National Park. And that set my mind rolling, and some of my personal situation, I was suddenly shifted overnight. It's happened 2-3 times with me, as it has happened with several of us, part of our professional hazard. You think you're doing an exceptionally good job, and suddenly somebody thinks that you need to be shifted to another challenging job, which is actually a much lighter charge. So I got shifted overnight, and then I started pinning down this book, and I had the manuscript ready. It's essentially a story of tigers, of the disappearance of tigers, and it starts off with Pari Mada, a tigress of Panna National Park, who is suddenly found missing. And there is a very honest forest officer, Ganga, and the usual challenges which a honest forest officer would face, and the trajectory of where this tigress finally ends up, which is somewhat reminiscent of what has happened. We've heard of the wet wildlife markets of Wuhan. So this tigress also is discovered in one such situation. And it's a story about the entire evolution of wildlife trade, and deals also with taxidermy and issues connected, the Maharajas, the British, colonial hunting, and what Mr. Shashi Tharoor has referred to about the economic depredation. There is also wildlife and an environmental depredation that took place in the colonial times. The second book, Kali's Daughter, was based in a similar sort of a situation where earlier, from being chairman NHAI, where I was doing an 18-hour job, one of the largest, perhaps the largest infrastructure project anywhere in the world. And I got posted as secretary of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. Well, I was in a situation where I was dealing with people who were oppressed, depressed, the staff, the environment, the petitions that we were getting. And that set my mind thinking. And I said, it's worthwhile to cover this part of the story of the Dalits, because most of the time, sir, Dalit stories have been based around extreme exploitation about, you know, their houses being burned, their villages being ransacked and such like. I thought this story needed to be placed in an urban setting. And who better than a civil servant protagonist to carry forward, talk about not just the physical stigma to the Dalits, but also the psychological, the, you know, more abstract kind of hurt, which is often unreported and for which the Indian Penal Code does not have suitable provisions. So Kali's Daughter is a love story based, starting from the academy, between a foreign service female protagonist who's a Dalit, between her fellow colleagues, one in the foreign service, one in the IAS, and how it all ends up. And I've tried to cover the caste issue because I was dealing with it day in and day out, and it made me feel very sensitively about the subject.
Sir, I recently read your book. It was a delight to read Kali's Daughter. And it set me thinking that you are from the 1982 batch. If I had been in your place, I would probably set the story in early 1980s. You know, that is the time when you really think of Mussoorie Academy as a professional. But you set the story with the 2010 batch. And again, if I had written the book, probably I would have included only IAS officers in that group. But you set the story in the foundation course with two of the protagonists, or the two main characters, foreign servants, and 2-3 more as IAS officers. So how did it come about to set the story in 2010 and then to include foreign service and IAS?
So I needed a kind of a handle over this subject. And when I was researching the subject of, you know, of Dalits and caste, apart from reading Ambedkar quite thoroughly and things like The Annihilation of Caste and various other books, and about, of course, the scheduled tribes, which was in any case my subject, I also read and I came across this UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Commission report, which deals with the subject of caste in India. So I needed that handle, and that is set in 2016. So I proceeded backwards and brought it to 2010 because this girl couldn't have been, you know, a first secretary in Geneva dealing with the UNHRC unless she was from the 2008 or 2010 batch. I could have brought it down. Actually, some of the things that I have covered, the aspects, are very similar to some of the real life incidents that actually happened and transpired when I was there in the academy. So it's not entirely a work of fiction to that extent. There are stories that which we cannot talk of, but which perhaps as a perceptive participant, one can visualize and see, and they actually happened. You know, you had a Dalit girl being, you know, or a Dalit boy being rejected by a higher caste despite being in love with them.
Actually, sir, this is one question that is being asked from every novelist. It has been asked every time to me also, whether this novel is autobiographical. How much of this novel is you? And I always reply that it is as much as Dickens is in David Copperfield or Vibhutibhushan Bandhavadh is in Pather Panchali. And I leave it to the imagination of people to think which one is what. But I think, sir, one of the reasons probably you took foreign service participants was also because of a brother. That is my idea.
Yeah, that's right. But because I was familiar with the subject and I could deal with it a little more confidently because I'd heard a lot, I'd read a lot. And to be honest, I also had aspired to join the foreign service. It was just a matter of chance that I did not qualify to, you know, get into it. So maybe that was there at the back of my mind.
So you were the Aman, sir.
To some extent, maybe.
But I think the way the book has ended, sir, it is a kind of a sequel is in order, because where you have ended the book with, I think it begets a sequel, and I'm sure readers would be interested in and waiting for the sequel.
Sure.
Anil, sir, you would like to speak something to Raghav directly?
No, I've been speaking to him directly. I have admired him as an officer. I never knew that he was such a good author as well.
Thank you, sir.
So I have been communicating with him. I was very impressed with his book. Not many officers, I must say, have that fluidity of that expression which he has. Pure author, I would say. Yes, I could gauge that it was not pure fiction as I read his second book at least. I could gauge because I also, of course, I did not come across a similar experience in the academy or saw anybody in that manner, but I could feel that there is a lot of experience behind it, so to say, or having observed somebody very closely, as I did in your case, in the two books that you've written. I could see, I mean, your book can be made into film, so can Raghav's book. These are two, they will be pot boilers actually, if they're made into a Hollywood film or Bollywood film. So I think they're free-flowing love stories, which a huge message around it. I think what Raghav does is so, I use the word brilliance because it is what it is. To convey a message in a manner that he does in his book, I mean, you never feel hit anytime, but you get hit, so to say, in the sense of it's very hard hitting. What's happening in the book, as you turn the page, you keep feeling pinched somewhere that, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And he's not telling you this is wrong. It's through a conversation that's happening. It's through a love story that is evolving. It's through the conversation between the families, with the families. And it's just brilliant. I don't have to ask any question of him. In fact, I wish I could absorb the whole book. And still, whenever I think of it, something else comes to my mind. Very well written. Maybe I'll read it again after a few years. Both your books.
Yes, sir.
Friends, Raghav Chandraji not only is a prolific author now, but he's also organizer of the Bhopal Literary Festival as a director. I have the pleasure of knowing him. We are now, as we are coming to the close of this episode, it is time for me to acknowledge many of my friends who have joined despite their busy schedule. Some people whom I have really looked up to, Rakesh Gargji, Rohit Nandanji, people whom I have always looked up to while I was in service, friends, Pankaj, Anuradha, Sangeeta, my own family, Tejveer, people who make us still continue in service and still enjoy the service. Raghavji, Anil sir, it has been a great pleasure to host you, to invite you in this session, and to convince you that it will be worthwhile to talk about books, to ideate about books. We do look forward.
Did you need to convince? The first message that I got from you, I said, yes, I know you too well, for you to convince me.
So, but I think this is an idea which we want to take forward about talking about books, about talking about ideas, talking about conversations in a similar fashion, in some way in which your nexus of good works to make alternative narratives of negativity. So I think societies are formed by ideas, societies are formed by books, and it is interesting and important to keep books and ideas and conversations alive. This is the idea of Serali. We do it once in a month, and it was the idea of basically Mohit and Samina. I was roped in, and I have been just able to participate along, jog along. I now thank each one of you, my friends who have joined this conversation. I thank especially Anilji and Raghavji to have joined with me today.
Partha, there are a couple of questions, I think, in the chat box. Would you like to take those questions before you conclude? There was one addressed to me. I don't know whether you think there's time for me to answer that
questions, if you can take them.
Samina, can you read out the question, please, to whoever it is addressed?
Yes. Yeah. So there is one question by Manish Gaur, and he asked, what about Romila Thapar's Gods of Corruption? There is probably some book on that. And there is another question by Sanjay Kumarji, and he's asking, Anita Bhatnagar Jain ma'am has written many poetry books. Why are they not included? So if you like to answer them.
So both the answers are very simple. The first one, Romila Thapar is not an IAS officer. Many people have written about IAS officers. This session, and no disrespect to them, but this session was about books written by IAS officers. And as I mentioned, there are other books, people who have written brilliant books. Because of brevity of time, we could not have taken all the books in this session. It is no indication that we have chosen these books based on merit. It is the books that we were aware of. There are many other books written by many other eminent people, and probably we can do a session sometime else. There's absolutely, this book's selection is based on my awareness, and any shortcomings is also mine. Samina, any other question, please?
Yeah, this Mr. Pankaj Sharma is asking about Ashok Vajpayee is noticeably missing here unless the section is only about prose. I don't know if Ashok Vajpayee is an IAS officer. Answer could be same. Please answer if it is different.
He's a very well-known IAS officer. He is a very well-known literary figure. He has written a remarkable number of poetry books. I think I have missed him out. Also because poetry is not really my cup of tea. But yes, again, as I say, that this is not a reflection of the merit of individual books or individual writers. It was just a selection of based on my awareness. Samina,
there's a very interesting question by, there's one question by Mr. Saurav Banerjee. He's asking, it's great to see so many IAS officers having taken to writing, and I've seen most of them being prolific readers. Yet as a country, we have not been able to ensure good quality children's literature in our schools. Most of our schools are bereft of any literature. As policymakers, does this bother you or something you can do about it?
This is
the children's book. I think there's no...
No, it's definitely for the ex-school education secretary. It's not for...
Good, you pose it to me. My problem was to get the teachers to the school. Library comes, if 25% of teachers don't go to the school, what will library do? So I think the priorities are very different. Those in urban areas are more bothered about literature. I think literacy is the first important thing. Numeracy and literacy. So you have to decide on your priorities. I can understand from an urbanite to talk about libraries and books. The question that I had to face as school education secretary was to get the teacher to the school first, get some teaching going. So you have to got your priorities. This is not to say that libraries aren't important. There are many NGOs who are working on that. Reading is extremely important. But for the schools, I think the priority for government schools, get the teacher to the school, get quality teachers, get them to teach first. Then of course they will read. If they don't know how to read, what libraries would need. So the priorities were very different as school educators.
Yeah. This one last question I'll take is from Rashmi Sinha ji. This is for Anil sir, not directly related to books, but it's something I like the questions I'm asking. Many times when one thinks differently, one feels very left out by colleagues. Have you talked about these times in your books, and would you like to recount any of your loneliest time in your career and how did you deal with it?
Oh yes, I had many lonely times. In fact, it is narrated in my book. And I must narrate, if there is time, just briefly in a couple of minutes, an incident. I had taken over as Secretary of Horticulture and an order came from a minister asking me to suspend a deputy director. No reason given. I didn't know what to do. And he was legitimately, he had authority to suspend a deputy director, no answer given. Of course, it's a long story given in my book. But I was so distraught at that point in time, this is 2003, when almost everything seemed to have collapsed around me, that I became a poet. In fact, I came up with these lines. Sanshaya nahi man mein, teri srishti mein ya tujh mein, tu hi tu mere man mein samaya, sab kuch maine tujhse hai paya. फिर भी स्तब्ध हूं, व्याकुल हूं, अशांत हूं, शायद अनजान हूं. क्या यही जीवन है जो पापी है, दुराचारी है, क्यों जीत रहा निरंतर है? This was such desperate times that everything seemed to have collapsed. But what the next few lines that I've written in my book was the answer to this. And answer was, समय रुका नहीं, हम क्यों ठहर गए, अभी तो हम चले भी नहीं, फिर क्यों थक गए. उठो पथिक, मत भ्रमित हो, धूमिल अंधियारे में, श्रेष्ठ वही जो घिरा नहीं हो क्षणिक निराशा में. जागो, जगाओ, मन मत बहलाओ, एक मसीहा तुम ही बन जाओ. So this, when you are lonely, when you are alone, you inspire yourself. That's how I inspired myself.
This is really wonderful, sir. Amazing. In fact, I would really like to mention that some people who have said some really nice things about this session. Mr. Piyush Kumar, Rajiv Kumar, Mr. P. Mehta, Jwalan Swaroop, Anil Mishra, Sanjay Kumar, Mr. K.D. Prakash, C. Bhattacharya, and they have written very nice things about this session. They're really enjoying it, and they have conveyed their thanks and gratitude to you and Partha sir. So I thought I would take their names as well here. So thank you very much.
Sir, Anil Mishra ji was with you working when you were Joint Magistrate Kasya.
Who was there? Sorry.
Anil Mishra ji. Anil Mishra.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So,
I was joined my student in Kasi. A wonderful time. Short, brief, excellent time I had.
so
Couple of incidents of my stint in Kasi also in the book.
all nice things comes to an end. Mohit, before I hand over the mic to Mohit to close the session formally, I once again thank everyone who joined, took the time off, and I hope it was interesting to you as well. And I look forward to continuing our association in the coming episodes of Serali the Book Club. Mohit.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And all good things come to an end, like this one. Truly an enlightening session, a lot of new books. I've already requested everyone to type in the chat of any other book that we have missed out in this list, but would like to add to this list. And definitely we will become richer by reading those books, but I will grow slightly poor by buying those books, I must say. And for the next session, which is a very interesting subject, the creative is already here. We invite every one of you who has been part of the book club to join us for this next session, where Parthaji would be speaking to Pankaj Bhadoria ji, and the discussions would be around books that are related to food and the gastronomy, and some very interesting discussions are going to happen. And of course, since she's from Lucknow and we also relate to the city of food of Lucknow, you can imagine how we will talk about the Prakashi Kulfi and Tunde ke Kebab and Shukla ke Chaat Pakodi. So you can actually enjoy this session next, which is the 2021's first link as well. We look forward to your patronship for taking this book club to more meaningful discussions. And I'm very, very thankful to Partha sir for this kind of a meticulous planning of the list. We will send the list and the presentation as well to all the people who join in today. And certainly to Anil sir for ending it with such poetic notes, since we know he is a guitarist as well. He sings very well. In a couple of sessions, I think, sir, we'll have to pick up some session where he can come and sing as well for us. And none other than Samina ji for taking out time, for making it absolutely so lovely. To Ridhima, our colleague who just managed it from the back end, and to everyone who participated today. And thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and keep reading, I must say.